Welcome to the Boschcast with James Boschman and Denise Young, where we talk about Manitoba real estate and everything else that's on our minds.
We are live. Welcome to the Boschcast. Today you have me, Denise, and my friend Susan Thompson from Centum Mortgages.
Hi, thanks for having me, Denise.
Can you tell me a little bit about yourself?
Sure. So I live in Niverville. I've been a mortgage broker for, going on 14 years. And yeah, basically just sort of enjoying the changes in the mortgage industry. My goodness, from 14 years ago, things have really changed. So
Yeah.
I think we met basically through my husband.
Yeah.
To school with your husband. So yeah, basically two grown, adult kids, 19 and 21. And yeah, that's about it.
That's awesome. Yeah. And things have sure changed now that they're grown up, eh?
Yeah, for sure. Definitely.
It's so different, eh?
I don't know if, back in the day when I was at home with them as little kids, I don't really know what's harder then or now at home with adult kids. I kind of think maybe even now is a little bit more difficult.
You don't have as much control over the routine.
Right. Yeah, and all the curfews and stuff, right?
Right.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Thanks for having me.
Awesome. So we're going to switch over. Normally we have taco about it, but we're going to change it to tea time since it's me.
Yeah.
And let's see. I don't know how to make these tickers work. There we go.
There you go.
So I guess everybody asks constantly every time I see any of my buyers or anybody socially, what's happening with rates? Right. And I know, I think you watched maybe a couple of our previous Boschcasts, and our predictions are, now that we've had the last Bank of Canada raise, that we feel like fixed rates are going to start to come down and be more competitive this spring. What do you think?
Yeah, we're seeing it. We're seeing it decrease. There's a few lenders that are, sending the emails. I think it's now 4.69 for high ratio purchase. Some are still at the 4.79, but I think things are going to fall a bit. But my prediction is that it's going to be steady.
Yeah.
It's not going to go into the threes, I don't think, for a very long time. But I guess who knows, right? Because I didn't predict prime going this high either.
Right. Yeah.
So yeah, I wish it was in our control, but it definitely is not.
Right. Yeah. So it's really hurting the people who have their variable rate mortgages at the moment, but
like me.
Well,
there you go.
Do too, because we know it's better in the long run.
Yeah, you know what? We're riding it out.
Yeah, we're riding it out. Yeah.
Exactly. Because you have to think of all the years that you were laughing because you literally were paying like a few $1,000s a year on interest.
Right.
So the savings over time totally beats sticking with it and, paying the high rates right now. So
that's right.
Yeah.
Awesome. So a couple of months ago, you and I had done a little cost comparison on Instagram, and I thought we might talk about that again because, some people are still a little like, should we buy now? Should we wait to see what happens?
Right.
And, my thoughts are because there's not a lot of competition in the market right now for buyers. My thoughts are that right now is a great time to buy, and I like to put it into numbers to show people. Mm-hmm. So on our little cost comparison thing that we had done in the fall, we had used March of 2022 numbers and October of 2022 numbers. And the interest rate is similar. Fixed rates are similar
Right.
Now they're at the time we used 4.84.
Okay.
Yeah, so like they're slightly under that actually.
Yeah, right.
What you can get right now.
Yeah.
And the March rate was 2.99. So some of the differences I like to tell people are things like their down payment would be a lot lower right now because there's less competition. So you're paying less for the house, right?
Yeah.
So then you're going to put less down payment down. You're going to pay less in mortgage insurance. You're going to pay less in land transfer tax. And so your out of pocket expenses, mortgage insurance you add to the mortgage, but your other expenses are,
Right.
can be like 10 grand lower,
Yeah.
which is a huge amount, right? Like, four, depending on what price range you're in, right? I'll
For
say
sure.
4,000 on a lower end house and maybe, 10 to 20,000 on a higher end house. For those out of pocket expenses up front. And I mean, that's can do a lot for you can put more money down to maybe even not have to pay mortgage insurance or
Right.
right. Yeah. And maybe even save more money that way.
Yeah. And in our example, we used, what the average people, were paying, but so many people paid way over. Way over.
Exactly. Like we used a moderate.
We really did.
Yeah. Moderate amount over. And then the other thing that I wanted to that we didn't do in that cost comparison was where will people be in 3 to 5 years, right? So when they go to renew, and everyone's likely going to have we're going to have more stable rates by then. So even if you're renewing 6 months apart, it's probably going to be a lot more balanced, right?
For sure.
Yeah. And so what do you think? I did the numbers, so you don't have to answer. I could tell you. I came up with, if you had bought, it's like a $40,000-$50,000 difference. So the people that are buying now are actually going to be renewing at a much lower mortgage amount by like $40,000. And that's based on our $330,000 purchase versus a $385,000 purchase.
Yeah.
So if you're in a higher price range, that's going to be a bigger spread even, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. And I know I would rather renew my mortgage at a lower mortgage rate.
Of course.
A mortgage amount. Yeah.
Well, and now, it's that whole bidding war. That was pretty insane. Like I felt bad for a lot of, especially first-time home buyers, how frustrating they were. They would always lose because there's always that person that is way over. So
way over. Yeah. There wasn't even comps that came near it. So it was hard to pinpoint where you'd win.
Stress.
Where you'd win.
Right. Yeah. It's like, oh yes, I won. It's like, no, you didn't, because you paid $100,000 over. Yeah. Exactly. But yeah, now I think I agree as well. Like now is a good time. People will obviously start putting up their homes for sale, once spring actually hits us.
Yeah, there is still a huge lack of inventory, but we are seeing still we have a couple of new listings, one in River Heights and one in Lindenwoods. And yeah, they're getting showings, but not like they were last year at this time. Like last year at this time, we didn't have enough hours in the day.
Right. Yeah.
Well, especially since you were only allowed one at a time. And,
for sure.
A 30-minute showing and all that stuff.
Yeah.
And those are other benefits to buying now is you actually can take the time to look at a house. You can actually have multiple showings, have other people come with you to look at it, maybe even have an inspection.
Yeah.
So yeah, I do feel like now is a much better time, not just money wise, but due diligence wise. Yeah.
Yeah. I agree.
Yeah. So, I had made a note here that we could talk about, the one downside to buying right now is the high high rate that we have to qualify at. So
yeah, it's really tough.
Right.
Yeah. So basically, as an example, like if you're a family and you make, let's say, $75,000 together,
right,
and you have minimal debt, I sort of, in my calculation, I use like a $3,500 property tax. You add your heat in there. You are, with 5% down, you're only affording a $300,000 purchase.
right.
Like, gone are the days where you can buy a $300,000 home and only make 50.
Right.
It has really changed in that stress test. So yeah, it's been around since 2018. It's still at 5.25, but I think it was 2021. They decided, let's put a little twist on it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's either the benchmark of 5.25 or it's the rate that your lender's giving you for your 5-year fixed plus 2%, whichever is higher.
Whichever is higher.
So right now, if your rate is 4.69, you're paying 6.69, not paying, sorry. Yeah. Your stress test is 6.69.
Right. That makes sense.
And that's high.
It is high. But it's also working, because that's why we're not seeing mass foreclosures right now.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, they want to make sure, can you afford it if the rates one day go to that,
right.
Go to that. So yeah. So no, it's definitely hard for, especially first-time home buyers, just starting out.
Yeah.
They have their first or second jobs, they're not making too much, but yeah, I think co-signers are going to be a big thing.
Oh yeah. Because
they're going to need their family's help. Maybe they've saved a good amount of down payment, but it's still like, who really can qualify at almost 7%.
Right.
Yeah. And then people have debt. For sure. Like I don't know if it's that common, when I pull a credit bureau, that somebody actually pays their credit cards always off.
Right.
People have car loans or, whatever, line of credits or whatever. So it's not as common, I think, as it used to be, because things are getting tough for people.
Right.
Charging, I think is a new thing too. So yeah, it's tough out there.
Well, with everyone online shopping, everything goes on a credit card, and it's not as likely to get paid off at the end of the month.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Even I was looking at my credit card statement. I mean, I personally put everything on our credit card because I like the points, right?
Yep.
You put it on, you pay it off. But I was looking, in the left corner, it says if you only pay your minimum payment, you will never pay this off.
Right.
It's like that, and that's not with adding anything. That's with you just, like, let's say, ripping the card up.
Yeah, and just paying on it forever.
Right. Yeah, you would pay it
the minimum payment for the rest of your life.
Yeah, great. That sounds really nice.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I totally get that. Credit cards shouldn't be used like that. They should be used for like getting the points and paying it off every month.
Right.
That's about it.
Yeah, for sure. You
the odd emergency, maybe.
Shouldn't use it for the things that you can't afford.
Exactly.
Yeah. And that it reminds me of like we pull credit when we take your application, everything, and we submit the deal. Now, let's say your possession isn't for that 120 days.
Yeah.
The bank really can pull your credit again.
Right.
They have the right. So if they did, and I don't know if they actually do, but they can.
I have heard that they do often. Yeah.
And if you have purchased, let's say you went out within that 120 days and now you have a car loan that you never did, you may not qualify.
Right.
and that deal is dead.
Yeah. I like to remind people not to go out to the
Don't.
brick and buy a bunch of furniture before the mortgage is signed.
100%. I actually heard a story back in, I think it was when I lived in Brandon.
Mm-hmm.
And there was, I think it was like a mortgage broker, or a mortgage agent at a bank. And yeah, so, the deal was all good to go. Then they had to pull the credit for something else. And there was like, I don't know, the person bought like a $60,000 vehicle.
Yeah.
No, it was dead.
Yeah.
The agent literally ripped the contract up and said,
Oh, wow.
we can't do this for you anymore.
Wow.
Yeah. It's one thing to be really, you got to be really careful about that for sure.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of being careful,
Oh, yeah.
I'm going to switch to story time here. Let's click the ticker
Okay.
and show that story time. So this isn't going to be a very long story. I was having a hard time coming up with this story for today. I don't know why. Because like so many things happen in real estate. I do have a million stories. They just aren't always on the top of my head.
Probably could write a book, actually.
I know, we always joke about it. And that's why we thought if we did story time every week as part of this, it would kind of like just be something fun, right? Mine don't seem to be that fun. Last story time I told about the time I got attacked by a cat. And the poor stressed out cat, because people tend to leave their cats at home for showings. And when showings are 40 in a weekend. Anyway, that was last week's story. We won't tell it again. The poor stressed out cat. So this week, I'm going to tell a story about, I was showing a vacant house, actually. It was a cute little vacant house in Transcona. And it was around this time of year, so it was super cold outside, and the furnaces run like really hard this time of year, right?
Yeah. And
they hadn't turned down the heat, so it was nice and warm in the house, which is nice when it's like minus gazillion outside. And my clients and I had looked at the whole main level first, and then we had gone down to the basement. And normally I try to keep everyone all together, but sometimes, someone gets, as we're busy looking for something, and me and one of the clients were busy looking. She was asking me some questions while we were in the utility room, and he had gone off to look at something else in the basement. And all of a sudden she was like, I can't breathe, and was very panicked. And as she did it, I was like, oh my God, like I thought I was going to pass out, actually.
Oh, wow.
And he got us up the stairs and out the door into the cold. And we realized that we had carbon monoxide poisoning. And I guess that old furnace was just working so hard. And it's that time of year where this type of stuff happens more and more, right?
Yeah.
And there was no carbon monoxide detector in the basement, and it was a vacant house, so no one's there, right? And hadn't noticed, and her and I had just stayed in there a little too long. So, now when I show houses in this like frigid weather, I am a little bit more cognizant about like being in the furnace room or in the basement and for how long. Cause like, I don't know how, like, at least he wasn't in the room, so he probably wouldn't have passed out. But
if it was just you two alone.
Oh, I know. It could have been so bad. As it was, like, I think I sat in my car for over a half hour before I felt like I could even drive, right? Like it was, I remember calling my dad, because my dad used to be a bus driver. So I'm sure had carbon monoxide poisoning multiple times back in the 70s. And I'm like, I think this is what it is. And he's like, well, you should probably go to the hospital. I'm like, I don't even know if I could drive. Right. And he's like, just stay there with the windows open. And, I mean, just sometimes things happen. Right. And, I mean, I did call Manitoba Hydro to get them involved and everything. Yeah. Like you got to do what's safe and right. And get them involved right away, especially, on a vacant house. there's nobody there to take care of it.
Definitely.
Yeah.
That's a good gift actually to give.
A carbon monoxide detector. Yeah.
For sure.
Same with, what am I saying? I used to actually give them as a gift the fire extinguishers.
Yeah, the carbon monoxide would be a good gift.
Yeah, that would be. Yeah. For anyone with a gas
really
house.
have one.
Yeah. Anyone with a gas house needs to have that for
Right.
sure.
Yeah, like we don't have gas, so
Yeah, us too. We have electric.
so we're okay with that. But
Yeah.
no, for sure.
Yeah. So the fun times of real estate.
No, I swear I thought you were going to say that a cat jumped out at you. Because
no, that was a different day. That was last week's story.
Oh yeah, okay.
Because yes, the poor cat. Yeah. So did I manage to change our ticker? I did. Oh, yay. So we're going to talk about why people should get pre-approved and how, and why they should deal with a broker and not their bank necessarily.
Yeah. Well, I mean, okay, why you should get pre-approved. Well, I know that real estate agents like it when they're pre-approved.
Yeah.
It can be a waste of your time, right?
Well, it's not even just a waste of our time. It's that we like it because we kind of know what we should and shouldn't be showing you, because why show you houses that you can't afford to buy?
Exactly.
Now you're going to fall in love with those. And then when we go to show you ones that fit your budget, you're not going to like any of them.
For sure. Well, and and in reality, it's like the buyers, it's the serious buyers that are actually going to get pre-approved.
Absolutely.
So if they're not serious, they're not going to spend the time to do the application and get all the paperwork. So,
right.
That's, and they obviously as a buyer, you would save a ton of time for yourself, knowing what you can afford.
Yeah.
That's a waste of time to go look at a $600,000 home when you can only afford a $300,000.
Right.
It's just a time wasted for everybody.
Yeah. And it also alters your expectations, right? Like you fall with certain things that you can't afford. It's kind of like me always wanting to have a car with heated seats and,
yeah.
and not ever wanting to change my expectations on that, right? Like,
for sure. Sure. Yeah. And it's super easy to get pre-approved.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know how easy it is to go to a regular bank and get pre-approved, because that to me, you as a couple, let's say you both have to take time off work to go get an appointment and to do all that sort of stuff. So that's sort of maybe more time consuming. So
more coordination involved.
Yeah. Like with a broker like myself, for instance, I work in the evenings and I work weekends, and we can meet or we can do everything over the phone, over email. Like, we don't ever even have to meet.
Right.
So, and it's super easy, send you a link, do the application the best you can. When there's things missing, let's touch base. Let's fill it out together. And then the next step is pay stubs, a job letter, everything recent, and your 90-day bank statements or RSP or TFSA for your down payment. So, it doesn't take that long, and it's not that hard,
right,
to get pre-approved. So once I have that information and the authorization to pull the credit, now we play around with numbers. You have your gross debt service and your total debt service percentages depending on your credit score. Those ratios differ depending, but and then basically, you give me a little bit of time and I can draw you up a letter that you can show your real estate agent that says, this is what you qualify for. So,
right. So that you have something to attach to an offer.
Right. And, sure, if you're self-employed or you have, let's say, a part-time job, but you've had it for a few years, if you're salaried it's way easier, obviously, because it's just pay stub and job letter. But if you are self-employed or there's any other sort of funny job situation, you're needing to collect your notice of assessments, which it's like, what are those?
Right.
You know,
Oh my goodness, how do I log into CRA?
right. Yeah. So, you know, obviously, like one of the first questions, even before I get somebody to fill out an application, is tell me about your employment, because if it is not the norm, then they need the time to either go online and see if they can, you know, find their notice of assessments, or they have to call, you know, CRA and all that sort of stuff. But then again, if you're self-employed, like T1 generals are needed, you know, for the past 2 or 3 years. So, you know, it can get a little bit more complicated than the norm, but
Yeah.
still, I mean, if you're quick at getting that, I'm quick at getting you the number. So,
Right. That's
yeah.
awesome. That's
Yeah.
awesome. So I think you kind of already said why you should deal with a broker instead of a bank.
I mean,
You know,
yeah, I mean,
hours are definitely a big thing.
well, and rates too, right? Like we can, you know, the more volume, let's say our office gives certain lenders,
Yeah.
we get discounts.
Right.
That's just how it is. So by you going into your TD Bank or your Royal, even if you've dealt with them forever, they're not giving you any favors.
Right.
They're not moving the rates for you. You know, I hear so many stories, if it's like credit unions or whatever, it's like, yes, you're dedicated to them, but they don't need to be dedicated to you.
Right.
I don't know. They should be, but I don't think they are. So,
Right.
yeah, I mean, just like with us, I guess it's a little bit different, because if you have a different situation, we do have lenders that cater to different situations.
Right.
And we can, you know, look at the banks that have the best fit for you. They may not have that best rate. They may not be the 4.69. Maybe they'll be the 4.79, but we can get the deal done.
Right.
With banks, if they say no, it's a no.
It's a no.
It's a
Right.
no.
There's lots more flexibility without having to have your credit checked by 5 different places or more.
Right.
Right.
Exactly.
It's getting checked once and then shopped around to see who can deal with it. Yeah.
For sure. Like, you know, I've seen credit bureaus where clients have, okay, well, they're shopping for a car. So now Ford has pulled their credit and GM has pulled their credit. And then it's like,
yeah,
okay, well, I get that. Like, if one says yes, why do you need to constantly, if you're not buying, then don't get your credit pulled.
Yeah, don't sign that paper and let them do it.
Exactly. So for sure, like once we pull your credit, it's good for 30 days. Mm-hmm. And then even before the 30 days runs out, I can pull it again and it won't hurt you at all.
Oh, okay.
So because I personally have pulled it already, I can pull it again within that 30 days.
Oh, that's good to know.
Yeah. So, and I mean, you know, a lot of people are all worried about getting their credit pulled. And it's like, if I'm the only one that has pulled your credit in the last 6 months and I'm doing it today and I have to do it again in a few months, it's okay.
Yeah.
You're not losing.
It's not like you're shopping around and having everyone check your credit.
That's our job.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. And I mean, we get paid when the deal goes through from the lender. It doesn't cost you anything. I
like to talk about that actually, Sue, because when I'm talking to my clients about why they should use a broker versus a bank, that is something I bring up. Our mortgage brokers are invested in the sense that they don't even get paid unless this deal closes.
That's right.
So if we need their comment on something, or if we have a tight deadline or whatever, they're going to work towards it. They're going to try to make it work versus if we send it to the bank, we're on the bank's timeline. Those people are salary. They're getting paid no matter what happens.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, sure, the bank, like they would have they get a bonus if they close so many, but I don't know. I just like, I've had clients recently that maybe they want to have an actual bank to walk into.
Yeah.
And my thinking is, when have you ever needed to walk into a bank to talk about your mortgage?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we have been with a broker for probably, it's got to be like, I don't even know, 15 years at least.
Right.
Now, like if I, let's say, put you with any of our lenders and now you have a mortgage with them and you have a question, let's say you want to put more money down on your, on your mortgage, or you want to add $20 to your payments every 2 weeks.
Right.
It's a 1-800 number and they answer the call right away. You have your mortgage number with you on your commitment and it's super easy.
Right.
And I know if I was to call our bank, like the one we just normally bank with, you're going through hoops to find the right person. So
mortgages.
Oh my God.
Mortgages.
Right. And then they don't call you back. Right. Yeah. It's a different, I guess it's a different world. People I still think want to deal with their own personal bank, even though they probably have no connection to that person that's sitting behind that desk.
Lesser and lesser. I know, like, you have the odd person who's still dealing with the same person that they've dealt with for the last, 10, 15 years at that particular branch. But once that person retires, like that's what happened to me, right? Like back in, she retired before I got into real estate.
Okay.
And then shortly after real estate, we had wanted to buy a property in addition to our house. And I mean, I had lots of equity in my house. I knew that I was in real estate, right? And I called my bank and I'm like, hey, this is the situation. I have lots of, and she's like, oh no, we have to make an appointment. You have to come in and sit down. And I'm like, okay, so how do we do that? Because I work the evenings and my husband works the daytimes.
Yeah.
So like, how do we do this? Right. And, of course they can't accommodate and they want both of you there. You can't just have one or the other.
Mm-hmm.
And, it just became like, okay, well, I mean, at that point I knew lots of brokers and just calling up and
for sure.
And, how much do you owe? How much do you think your house is actually worth? And, there's a big spread there. So just go buy the property because it was a lot more equity than the price of the end. He's like, we'll worry about it once you have an offer in your hand. Right. So.
Well, and you have to keep in mind too, like if you did want TD and Scotia, we can send you there.
Yeah.
Still under the broker channel.
Right.
I can probably, like, if you wanted to, I know I'm dedicated to TD. I want TD. I would be able to get you a better rate than if you went and got your own.
Right. Exactly. Because that bank employee can only do so much too, right? Like they aren't authorized to just slash prices.
Yeah, exactly. For sure. So, it's and I guess my thought about the bank, like when somebody wants to, go to Scotia or go to TD, or let's say they like the Scotia STEP program, which is, the line of credit side of things. That's totally understandable. No problem, sending them there. But again, I have to get signatures, but they also have to make appointments.
Oh, okay.
Because it's different. Like when we're putting you with a private lender, no one's going to meet with you or anything. Once you sign, that's good. But they also, the Scotia and TD, they want you to come in because what do they want to sell you?
Right.
They want to sell you a Visa, MasterCard, whatever. They want RSPs. They want to get your bank account. They want
more than just the mortgage.
Of course.
Yeah. Yeah,
So,
that makes sense.
you know, they would love us to send it for me to have a client and send it to them because they want to have a little bit of extra.
Yeah.
So,
Another reason why I like dealing with brokers rather than the bank is not just for myself, but I, enjoy my clients going to them, is how most of you will also go over like the pros and cons to which mortgages. Like, yeah, this one might be a lower rate, but it might have a higher penalty for paying it out, or
yep.
it might have something else attached to it that isn't as attractive.
Right.
Yeah.
Because there are the and I don't think I've even put a client with one because I don't like them. but there are lenders that have that. Okay, so yeah, you can get your rate for 5 years for the let's even say 4.59.
Yeah.
But behind the scenes, if you break that contract of 5 years, there's a big penalty.
Huge penalty, or they don't have some sort of way to put more payments on it. Like there's so many. So I do like that because I find like if a bank is approving you, like your bank, they only have like 3 things to sell you. And if you're not so they're not necessarily going to go over all the pros and cons of each one. They're just going to be like, this is the one that fits and that's the one you get. Right.
Yeah, for sure. So, but getting pre-approved, to go back to the topic, is obviously super important for everybody. It just gives you peace of mind.
Right.
And again, if there are things, if let's say you're pre-approved for 300, but you want to buy a home for 325, well, then we will dig into, do you get any money? Like, do you have children? Can we use, your child tax? There's a lot of stuff that we can look into that I feel sometimes that a bank doesn't. I don't know. I guess it depends, right, on the person. Right. But yeah, we're fighting obviously for your business. We're wanting to help you in any way we can. So we're not going to give up. We're going to try hard. Right. And I mean, what I love is that my relationship with a lot of either the BDMs or the underwriters, it's amazing. Like if somebody comes to me and says like, I've got this scenario, would it work? My first thing is to email those really good underwriters that, we're close to. We get the answer.
Yeah.
Right off the hop. And
right off the hop. Yeah. If it's going to be.
Yeah, we know. And if it's, hey, I see something really like funny on this credit bureau, would you guys accept this? And, you sort of, share it with them.
Yeah.
Right away, they can tell you if it's going to work. Like I personally will not waste my time at telling someone that they're pre-approved and then have them, put an offer in and then it's like, oh, no, we're not going to get approved because there's this on your credit bureau. I am very thorough. I will make sure that when I send this in, that you will get that approval. Yes.
And that is one of the things I think I have in my questions is like, what is the difference between a pre-approval and a pre-qualification? And how does the client know which one they got, right? Like,
so, like a real bank approval, that is when I would take your application and I actually submit it. But the problem with that is that there is a fee onto your rate for that. They don't do it for free.
Right.
So you're paying probably a 0.25 more, like a higher rate, so that when you do purchase, there's a premium on that rate, at that current rate, because that is basically, yes, they have pre-approved it. So in my mind, would they do any more than I can? Probably not.
No, I think that's an approval, not just a, even though
Well,
it's
they
pre.
do call them a pre-approval,
Yeah,
but
do
it's
they?
by
Okay.
the bank. Yes.
See, as realtors, we have what we call a pre-qualification, where the bank doesn't actually take your documents.
Right.
And so they like ask you a bunch of questions, and then they're like, yeah, you should be able to spend 300,000.
Yeah. So I wonder if that's more not on the broker side, if that's
Yeah.
the big banks.
That is usually the banks.
Okay,
But
okay.
typically
Yeah.
don't see that come from a broker.
Exactly.
The brokers
So-
typically give us what we call an actual pre-approval,
Yeah,
in the sense
exactly.
that they've taken the documents, they've looked at the credit, right, like they've done the work.
Yeah.
And
So
when we get the offer, we just submit it and they send it up.
Yeah. So the benefit, I guess, for people to get an actual real pre-approval that we submit is to rate hold.
Right. Rate hold. Yeah.
But again, you're paying that premium.
You're paying a premium.
So, it's like we can only rate hold once there's a live deal and the deal is in the system.
Right.
So if your possession is, I guess we'll go back to why I'm better than the bank. And I shouldn't even, I'm assuming that the banks don't do this, but if we have a live deal, we've submitted it, you've got your approval, you've signed the commitment at 4.69, within that, let's say you're moving in 90 days, within that 90 days, we get a one-time rate drop.
Oh, okay.
So if that, and that's why then, Hawkeye's here. I will watch all the emails that, let's say, that particular lender sends. And if it's like, oh, our rates went down, now they're, let's say, 4.59, I can tell the client, okay, we still have X amount of days left.
Right. Yeah.
Maybe the rate will still go down, but I have the one time.
Yeah.
Do you want me to ask for the rate drop?
Oh, okay.
I don't think no bank is doing that.
No, probably not.
No.
You probably have to be watching for yourself and then hounding them to change it for you.
I think it'd be a tough one. Yeah.
Yeah, probably would be.
Yeah. So if that does happen and we get the rate drop, some of our lenders will ask for, will adjust the commitment.
Yeah. And
then we have to sign it again, which isn't a big deal.
No.
Or that new commitment would just go to the lawyers.
Oh, okay.
So, either way, you're getting the paperwork, but either you're signing a new one with me or you're signing the new one, at the lawyer's office.
Yeah. Everyone's willing to get together to sign when they're getting a lower interest rate.
Exactly. And really, you can still do it at home and sign it, scan it, and send it. So
exactly.
Yeah, it's really not that big of a deal. But yeah, that's a really, I think, an important part of the difference between the brokerage and the banks. So
yeah.
Yeah.
So if I was to send you an offer that we got accepted, our clients have found something, what should the client be expecting at that point?
So they have an accepted offer.
Yeah.
So basically, once I get everything from you as an agent, I submit everything. And the turnaround time, I think right now is pretty good.
Yeah.
If I was to submit in the morning, I could probably get that approval at the end of the day.
Oh yeah.
Possibly, or if not, the
things
next
are
day.
slow right now.
Yeah, exactly. So no, for sure. So if once we get that approval, I look it over. I make sure that all the items, all the requirements I have either submitted, because I'm not sending in the pay stubs and all that immediately, right? I wait for the approval. So I want to make sure, okay, yeah, that's taken care of. And if they ask for something that I haven't collected, well, then that's something that I have to collect from the client. But yeah, I'm basically, I am not super eager to tell the client and the real estate agent, hey, you got an approval, because an approval to me is when they look at those docs.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So, I may, if it was, you and I'm, we're friends and stuff, I'd be like, hey, just to let you know, I got it, but hold off. Right.
Right. Yeah.
Because I want to make sure that have they called the employer? Have they verified it, income? Anything could happen. So just little things like that. So that could take another day if, depending. And then, once I get the full, like everything is completed, it's party time.
Party time. Yeah.
Party time.
Then we just have to get the possession day party stuff ready.
Yeah, for sure. And the carbon monoxide gift.
Yeah, right.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. That's awesome. So I think we've exhausted all the things we could talk about regarding pre-approvals.
There we go.
and all that.
And so much more.
And so much more. So now we're gonna give some flowers. So this is our segment where we like to talk about some businesses of the week that we've enjoy working with. And Sue, I'll let you go first to shout out a couple of.
Okay. So I guess for local Niverville businesses, I guess I have two.
Yeah.
That I'll talk about. So one is Niverville Auto Body. Ferd is the owner there. And I tell you that they are, if you get in an accident or you need any sort of body work, they are so amazing. We have had, not that I've gotten in an accident, but my son had, and they took so very good care of his car and him, and so Ferd's amazing. He really is, and he's a huge part of the community, and I believe he's still a volunteer with the fire. So he's an amazing business. So for sure, anyone from Winnipeg, surrounding areas, if you need your car fixed or truck or whatever vehicle, go see Ferd at Niverville Auto Body.
That's awesome.
Yeah. You want my second one?
Yes.
Okay. So it's kind of a little close arm's length here, but MAD, M-A-D Social Agency, which is basically a social media, it's my daughter that actually owns it, Maddie Thompson. She's killing it out there.
I see her posts and they're always
awesome. Yeah, started basically, I guess, 2 years, I guess, 2 full years and a few months. But so many clients, and she does all the social media for them. They write all the captions, they post, she does logos and anything that you need as a business owner. Because a lot of us don't have time, but if you look at, I don't hire her. She doesn't do mine. So it's just, I'm sort of slacking on mine and I have to get back to it. I have a partner now that we have to get back into it once spring comes. But anyways, she's amazing at what she does. If you need any social media management, look her up. For sure.
Awesome. Okay, we're going to post their links as well.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah. So I have two. Well, my first one is Sue.
There you go.
Case of Mortgages, who she's often taking care of my clients. And so what more can I ask for? Because I want my clients well taken care of.
That's good.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And the next one I'm going to shout out, and that was why I joked about making taco boat at tea time, is Cornelia Bean, my favorite local tea place. As I was making my tea right before the podcast, I realized I'm getting a little low on my ginger organic tea, and so I'm gotta schedule some time to get down to Academy and pick some up, or maybe just order online. And,
Awesome. Yeah, I know you like tea.
Yeah,
good.
I'm really into my tea and in my great big giant
Yeah, I was going to say.
pottery mugs.
But you know what? Are you actually drinking tea in there, or are you drinking something else?
No, anyone that knows me knows I don't drink, so
Yeah.
I would make that joke.
Well, and I'm drinking tea, but it's iced tea.
Oh yeah, there you go. I like iced tea too. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
But
No, that's
yeah,
great.
so yeah, I think I ended up making one from Banff though, because I was out of my favorite one from Cornelia. So I made it was called Iron Maiden. It's one of my favorites from, I can't remember if it's from Banff or Canmore. I think that one's from Banff. But yeah, that's how much I like tea. I go to the tea places when we go on holidays.
That's awesome.
So yeah, I think that's pretty much everything today.
Yeah, no, I think we had a good chat.
We did. Yeah, it was great having tea time with you. And
yeah. And hopefully somebody out there learned something.
Yes, and if anyone has any questions, they can
for sure
give us a call or reach out to us. And I think I forgot one thing. I forgot to thank everyone for watching and listening, because I got right into the introductions.
Yeah. And I actually forgot to say that I'm with Centum Mortgages. So I'm like, I've been a broker for 13 years, but yes, I've been with Centum for almost 14 years. So yeah.
And I, if anyone finds this podcast useful, please like, subscribe, and share. You can ask us any questions, whether they're real estate related or not. And yeah, that's pretty much it.
All right.
Thanks so much, everybody.
Yeah. Thanks, Denise.